Welcome back, 5th grade. We are on Domain 3, Poetry. We are on Lesson 11, Isla. So our objectives for today are to use textual evidence to compare and contrast characters' reactions in a poem and to compose an original poem in which two characters respond differently to the same circumstance. Our key vocabulary for today is very minimal. We have exiled, which is away from one's homeland, and transfixed, which is intensely focused. So the poem we're going to read today is called Isla. It's by Virgil Suarez. The poem in this lesson is about a boy who feels isolated or alone after moving to a new country where he does not speak the same language. Suarez, which is the poet, is from Cuba, so his first language is actually Spanish. So there's several words in here that are actually Spanish. Before we get into reading the poem, let's read his biography. Virgil Suarez was born in Havana, Cuba in 1962. His family moved several times, and when he was an adolescent, they immigrated to the United States. In his new home, Suarez sought to find acceptance by learning to share his voice. He was influenced by the music, culture, and stories of his friends and family. As a professor today, Suarez teaches his students to listen to the voices in their lives, the present, the past, whatever speaks to them, as a source of inspiration in their writing. As a poet and novelist, Suarez focuses on the experience of migrant peoples seeking to find a home in a new culture. His works, Latin Jazz, Garabato poems, Spared Angola, Memories of Cuban-American Childhood, and many others highlight the themes of identity, culture, and language. Virgil Suarez continues to write novels and poetry and lives in Florida. Okay, I'll give you guys a few seconds to read through this. Feel free to pause the video at any time to be able to really read through the poem or read it more than once. So where is the speaker? He is in Los Angeles. What does the poem tell us about the speaker's home country? It's an island in the Caribbean. What television shows and movies does the speaker like to watch? He likes to watch The Three Stooges, The Little Rascals, Speed Racer, and the Godzilla movies. According to the poem, why does the speaker feel isolated in his new country? Nobody wants him, nobody knows him, and he doesn't really speak English yet. And what does the speaker of the poem do to express his emotions? He throws a pillow and screams. So, we're going to talk about compare and contrast. So we're actually going to compare and contrast the speaker to Godzilla. So how do Godzilla's circumstances resemble the speaker's circumstances? Well, both Godzilla and the speaker are unlike the creatures around them. They're both unwanted. So that's a good comparison to show how they're similar. Two of the other programs the speaker watches shows characters who are young boys like him. Why might the speaker identify more with the character of Godzilla than with those other little boys? Remember, he feels so isolated and not connected, and the boys in those tend to feel a little bit more connected. So he identified more with Godzilla because Godzilla wasn't wanted. Godzilla's like unusual, stands out, and more different. So he felt like he identified more with Godzilla. How does the speaker's mother react to his actions? Well, she storms in the room and asks why he's throwing things. Of course, she's a mother. She's going to want to know what's going on. So the mother references a monster too. It is not, however, Godzilla. What does she reference for the monster? She calls her homeland the monster. And what's the difference about how the mother sees the situation versus how the speaker sees it? While the boy blames himself for being so isolated, the mother actually blames their origins, because if he was, born in America, he wouldn't have had that issue with himself and fighting with his culture. But the boy doesn't understand that, so it shows how they both see the situation very differently. So you're going to compose a poem that shows how two different characters feel about the same thing. So if I were to walk into a messy room, I would have a different perception than if my parents walked into a messy room. They might see it a little differently. Same thing with homework. Teachers see homework in a different way, but I know students sometimes feel differently as well. So you're going to think about one situation or object that you're going to react to. So you're going to pick one situation or object. You can use one of the few that examples that I've given you, but feel free to be creative and come up with your own. Then you're going to come up with two characters. What two characters are going to react to those? Make sure it's two different reactions you'll get from it. So you want to pick two characters that are kind of opposite when it comes to looking at that object or situation. So first, you're going to then describe the character one's reaction. What did the character one what helped to shape their reaction? So in his poem, the mother loves her child, so she does not view him as a monster. And then what are you going to do about character two? How did they shape that? So in that poem, the child feels left out, isolated, and feels like a monster. So they're both interacting with the same experience. You know, this boy feels really isolated. However, the mother doesn't see it in that kind of view. So that's kind of going to be what you're going to write for your poem. So you're going to come up with a situation that a character is going to react to. Then you're going to have two characters, and you're going to describe both of their reactions to that object or situation. And that is actually your assessment for today. So you're going to compose a draft, and remember to describe that situation and show how each of those characters reacts to that situation. And we will see everyone in our next lesson.